The military, aka Air Force Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps, high school GRTC kind of gaslit me into being a better public speaker. Um, I was in it since freshman year, and I'm a senior now, so yeah. But public speaking and talking into a PlayStation 3 camera is two very different things. You know what I mean? Like in public speaking, first off, I have a script in public speaking. You know what I mean? You know the subject you're talking about. In this case, at least the current video format that I'm doing, I'm just speaking into the camera, whatever pops up in my head. Of course, I have a little bit of background pretext to like what I'm gonna be talking about because I thought about it before. But when I'm saying stuff, is usually just on the fly. You know what I mean? I don't have a script on what I'm going to say or how I'm going to say, at least not yet. And if I do, I'm going to tell you in the videos that I actually have a script. But nah, it's just like coming off of my head. And when I've been watching my videos back, I realize I've really been stuttering on my words because it's coming from my head. And I'm kind of moving from A to B and then go through B and then move back to A. That's kind of how I just structure my thoughts because I think that's most people actually. Maybe I'm just autistic, but like that's kind of just how I structure my thoughts. Like, okay, so we have this main subject, but we have an asterisk here, and then the asterisk goes into a secondary subject. So I give you more background for me. I think that's just like how you form a good speech, but usually you like introduce that topic beforehand to the audience before you talk on it more, or you reach it but you have to connect it back to the main subject. I'm not connecting my things back to the main subject, but being a public speaker is surprisingly not that difficult. It's mostly just getting over nerves, and in my opinion the best way to get over nerves is just doing it. Is basically exposure therapy, but to make it a lot easier on yourself, talk about a subject that you already know of, which is like the most stereotypical thing that you'll ever hear in your life, but I swear it works. You know what I mean? Like, for example, if happy, well, I yawn like an old person. So, for example, if you're going to do okay, so in ROTC we have public speaking assignments, and usually it's a pick your own subject type thing. We pick the topic, you pick the subject, right? You pick the topic, we pick the topic, you pick the person, basically. And it's really like you gotta pick something that's nice. So, for example, our first public speaking assignment of the school year was last year was pick whatever you want. Some people were talking about the Israel-Palestine conflict. And then another dude was talking about how LeBron James' son is the best basketball player that ever graced the earth because he came from LeBron James himself. You know what I mean? Like, there is much easier to talk about something that you're knowledgeable in rather than something that you have to do research on. If you already have background information on the subject and you're passionate about the subject, especially if you're passionate about the subject, you need to be able, you need to talk about it. You know what I mean? Um, Work your way up. Working your way up is really important because I thought I was a really good public speaker at once, which once was like last year, by the way. I thought I was a really good public speaker once. I was talking in front of the class, blah 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 blah, spitting some jokes. But when the audience doesn't reciprocate the same energy that you give out, it throws your speech off so much when you have a dry crowd. That's why whenever I'm in a crowd, I just be like really overhype. If they're trying to get hype, I get hype with them. You know what I mean? Just be a little crackhead. But like, yeah, you gotta. If the audience isn't reciprocating the energy that you're giving out, you might have to either change your energy or keep on thugging it through because you can't expect the audience to change depending on you unless it's a really long speech or a really long monologue, dialogue, etc., etc. Right? Work your way up because I thought I was a really good public speaker, and then in front of a class of like 30 people, and then I went up on stage and talked to like, what was it? It was a lot of ninth grade. It was like 500 people. It was like finding people. I was like talking about a CT program, career technology program. Um, I was talking about a program that basically, yeah, you have to have one of these to graduate. I was talking about database. And I started stuttering. I started going over my words. I started going over things I already talked about. You know what I mean? I just started repeating things. I was like, dang, I'm out of my element right now. But at the same time, I didn't have any time to prepare. So like when you're doing a public speaking assignment, you really want to be able to prepare. You want to talk about it in front of the mirror. The mirror is nice. If you have people that's willing to listen to you, talk to in front of them, you know what I mean. Even if you want to get some constructive criticism on what you need to work on, but mostly, hey, a mirror and voice memos go crazy. You know what I mean? You're gonna hear yourself over and over and over again. Sometimes your voice is even gonna make you sound insane. You know what I mean? I know that when I'm looking back at these videos, bro, I stumble on so many of my words just out of nowhere, and I'm looking at my mouth like, why is my mouth not working correctly? You know what I mean? My tongue is just suppressing some of the words I'm saying. But that's mostly because I'm just talking like some form of English that I'm surprised even my friends understand. I don't even know how they understand me at the time, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, public speaking surprisingly easy. What else hurts about public speak? Oh yeah, it's totally different from looking to a PlayStation 3 camera. Cause like in a PlayStation 3 camera, I'm not really talking to anybody. I'm mostly just talking to myself. And when I say talking to myself, mostly just like taking my thoughts from here, and it just if you're blind and you don't know what I just did there, it's like moving my ideas from my brain directly into my mouth. You know what I mean? I barely think about what I say half the time, but like I just hope that it comes out nicely. And if it doesn't come out nicely, I have to like maneuver my words so it could sound proper. You see how I just used that word maneuver? That kind of like screwed me over because like it's a very weird word to use in that certain context, that specific context. So yeah, when I use like funky words or funky verbiage, I have to maneuver my words differently so it could make sense. So my yapping could still be somewhat coherent. Yeah, talking to a camera is a lot different than talking to somebody else. When you're talking to somebody else, you could like judge them based on body language, whether they're getting bored or not, and if you need to spice something up. If talking to a camera, you just gotta make sure that you're entertaining at all times. You gotta just keep that viewer retention, if you will. You know what I mean? Yeah, we're 8 minutes into the video, and I felt like I've been talking for about 3. So yeah, I might be fried. Just a small video on like talking and how the military gaslit me into being a better public speaker. But public speaking, it kind of does, but it kind of doesn't prepare you to talking to a camera. You know what I mean? You can't base somebody's body language, but if you are locked into like, if you're really good at speeches and you know like structures of speeches, you'll be better at talking to a camera. You know what I mean? You'll be a better spokesperson. But at the same time, you can't really judge an audience. There isn't an audience to judge off because you're a PlayStation camera 3. You're a PlayStation 3 camera to me. You know what I mean? Like the most I can do is look at you directly in your lens and maybe even zoom in manually. Yeah. But yeah, it's really interesting. The difference between bro, try it. You gotta try talking to that camera, bro. And then just like listening to yourself. I used to hate my voice. I still kind of don't enjoy my voice, but like I've successfully gaslit myself into thinking that like I'm perfect, so like my voice is pretty nice too. But yeah, you gotta record yourself. It's so nice. It's not nice to look at yourself, especially if like you're recording from like a camera and you're just like because I be doing that sometimes. I don't even know like what I'm like looking like sometimes. You know what I mean? But like if you're like in a professional setting like this, seated, looking directly into the camera, doing absolutely nothing but talking your thoughts, it's really nice. It's almost therapeutic. You know what I mean? If going on a nice walk on a slightly chilled day was a 10 in terms of like bringing your stress levels down, I'd say that this is a solid 5 or 4. You know what I mean? It gets the job done. You know what I mean? Your stress levels are getting down. It's just not as effective, but it's really good. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna give a 6 because 6 is reserved for like something else. I think 6 is like a massage. You know what I mean? But you have to like drive there yourself and then pay before you get there. You know what I mean? Like you're standing at the counter, but then you're getting your massage. But then you have to walk back to your car and drive yourself back home. You know what I mean? Compared to this is just you talk to a camera. It's vibes, not necessarily the comfort that you get, but it's the vibe. You know what I mean? A vibe of a nice chilled night, almost sunset, or the sun almost sunrise. You know what I mean? And then the sunrise is really slow. That's a 10. This is a 4. It's very therapeutic. I'm just yapping right now. I'm gonna stop the video. I'm Diamond One.